Hey guys, welcome to Notech. Today we're going to continue with the basics of C programming. Okay, so today we're going to be learning variables and variable declarations. And in this video, our aim is to be able to ask the user to input some data, and we store that in the variables, and then we display it back to the user. So at the end of the course of today, at the end of this lecture, you should be able to ask the user to input some data and then display it back to him. And for those who are knowledgeable, they will be able to add and do other mathematical operations in C. So that now we just create a new file and name it variables, then enter. So what we do is, the first thing, like I said during the introduction class, is that every line of code should begin with a library, and in this case we're going to still be using standard input and output library. If you don't import this library, you won't be able to use the printf and the scanf functions, which permits us to read from the keyboard and write to the screen of the user. So int main that, and noun, I was saying that this curly braces defines the start and the end of a function. So all of your code should enter that curly braces. If not, it's not going to run. The compiler is not going to run the code, because the main function is only called by the processor itself. So now basically we want to study variables. Now, what's a variable? A variable is a named memory location. That means in a memory location that has been allocated for a particular use and is being named to be called by reference. So in any case, it's like those who are having laptops, in their memory they'll say this particular portion is used for storing of files, this other one is for videos, this other one. So you define how you want to use your memory. In this case, is the very thing. So if you define that this place is for files, and you name it files, so you have just created a variable in memory and named it files. So that variable is going to be files, and which you will be able to store your files inside. So in this case, is the very thing. So you see that if you name your variable, it's supposed to follow what you want it to be stored in it. You want to be what should be stored in it. In this case, that brings us to the notion of data types. Now, data types helps the memory to declare a particular section to store a particular content of data. In any case, there are different types of data types. There is integers, characters, boolean, strings, floating numbers. So what's an integer? An integer basically is just numbers, but in this case you'll be able to do mathematical operations on them if you declare them as integers. Characters as a whole, you know them A, B, C, D, and you can declare a number as a character, but you won't be able to use mathematical operations. C is just going to recognize it as a character as 1. Then strings are just long lines of text which have space included, and then float are numbers with decimal points. Now in today's tutorial, we are going to be using the data type int, that's integer. So if you want to you want to declare a variable of type int, you of type integer, use int in C. That is how integers are being denoted. So you have A comma B. Now what I've done is that simply I've named two memory locations, A and B. That means what the compiler does is that it goes to memory and allocates two memory locations, name them B, of which will be able to store data of integer type. So I'm going to continue. Now, in our code, like I earlier explained, we are supposed to get input from the user. In that case, we are going to be the compiler is going to be doing the assigning of the values for us. But what if you want to define the value? That is, you want to declare it as in okay, this value should be this. You want to declare it as a constant. What you are supposed to do is you are just supposed to give the data type. So in this case, I'll say car. Char is character in C. So I'm creating a memory location which will be called C, which will be able to store characters. So if you want to store anything in C as a character, you are supposed to assign a single quote. So I'm going to have 55 and then that. And then don't forget that every line of code in C should end with a semicolon, sorry. I don't know how I like to say semicolon. What's a semicolon? Semicolon. And then continuing, now if you want your user to input some values, you are normally supposed to have to tell him that okay, do this, input this value. So it's the same thing. So the printf function is going to help us to display a message telling him to input the value. So that will be, please input two numbers. And then scan f. Now input two numbers \n. Sorry, this \n just takes us to a new line. So the console is going to go to the next. It's just like enter, and then the users are going to do that. So I'll have quotes and I'll have %d space %d, and then I'm going to have okay, sorry, I've not put my semicolon. And then I'm going to have a comma, sorry, a comma, so b, then empty, then semicolon. So basically this %d just tells the printf, the scanf function, that okay, what the user is going to input should be regarded as an integer type, and then the symbol in front of a tells directs the first inputted number from the keyboard to that memory location A. So the first number that the user inputs will be stored in A, and the second number that the user inputs will be stored in B and will be considered as a character. So the %d just tells the scanf function that okay, basically the numbers they are going to collect are integers, and they should be stored in the specified integer locations A and B as declared above. And then we're supposed to print it back to the user. If we're to print it back, we're supposed to use the printf function, like I said. So by now you should be used to the printf and scanf functions. And so I'll have the first number is percentage %d, and the second number is percentage %d. Also, and C is a, so I want to just add something. C is a character which holds percentage C, and then quotes, my double quotes. Then I'm going to have A, comma B, comma C. So what I'm doing is that I want to display the message back to the user with his inputted values. In this case, so percentage %d now takes the value, the first percentage %d in the printf function takes the value that is being stored in the variable A and then prints it out. Then the second percentage %d takes the value in the variable B that is being stored and prints it out. Then now percentage %c in any case is what we use to show that what the user is being what the user wants to input or what we want to display is being stored in the memory location of character data type. So if you want to print from get a value from a variable which holds a character, in our case 55, you're supposed to use percentage %c. For float is percentage %f, for strings percentage %s, for long decimals is percentage %ld. So there are many. And then you cross check your work to see if there's any problem, and then I don't think so. If there's a problem, C is going to show you by a red light. Let me just do this so you can see the line 8 has a problem. C shows you that okay, there's a problem at line 8, go and rectify it. So I'm just going to add my semicolon and then good. Is everything okay? Fine. Then we run the program. Then I'll have please enter two numbers, 1 space 2. Don't forget the space. Then I'll have enter. The first number is 1. The second number is 2, and C is a character which holds 5. Okay, good. The reason why it does not print 55 is because a character can hold only one value, not double. So this number is out of the, for those who did binary, is too big for the memory of what the memory allocates for a character can do. So it's just supposed to be 1. And then we have, if I run it again, I enter 1, 2, we'll see that the first number is 1 and the second number is 2, and C is a character which holds 5. So characters can only hold a specific amount of data. I made a mistake in putting 55. So the ASCII value for 55, sorry, the decimal value for 55 is more than what um, the memory location for a character is being assigned to. So the um, C is just going to cut half of what is there and then print half. So that brings us to the end of the class, and your project after this class is to be able to store um, ask the user to input three, in this case three numbers or three anything, and then you'll be able to display it back to the user. So don't forget, if you want to display character, use percentage %C. If you want to display an integer, use percentage %D. And then subsequently, we're going to be using floats, and we're going to be using strings, and we're going to be using long decimals, we're going to be using booleans, and there are so many. So subsequently, we're going to be using that. For this class, you're just going to be using integers and characters because they're the fundamentals and basics of C. So that being said and done, we have come to the end of the class. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell for more info about the classes, about our next class. So thank you. See you next time.